Now, The Street of Good Fortune is a collaboration between two women who have never met and live on opposite sides of the world. One lives in Canada whilst the other in South Africa. It gives an account of life with breast cancer from the perspective of a human rights lawyer, Miriam Mantigi. And of course, to talk more about the book, we're now joined in studio by The Street of Good Fortune publisher, the South African half of the collaboration, Leila Hadera. And of course, thank you at home can join in on the conversation this morning by simply leaving your comments on Facebook as well as Twitter. Leila, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
We're talking about the actual interesting meeting between the two of you ladies. I mean, you've never met, you met on social media. Let's talk a little bit about how things progressed from just that meeting to actually collaborating on such a book.
I was late at night on my Facebook page, as many of us do, are guilty of, and I was scrolling through my news feed and I saw somebody's update that I didn't know, but a mutual friend had liked it, so it showed up in my news feed. And I read her words and they hit me. They strung a chord. I was really, really moved by her words. And I thought they were humorous. So I wrote her a little personal message to say, hey, you're such a good writer. She wrote me back a private message. And I think we spoke for like 2 hours that night, you know, way past midnight.
Yeah.
She mentioned she had a manuscript, which I requested to see. When she sent it to me, I realized it was her memoir of life with breast cancer as a 34-year-old woman. And having experienced this in my own family with close women in my family going through this disease, I resonated with it. And I said to her, I have to publish your book. So it was really a gut decision that came out of this very first sort of meeting that we had online.
And of course, when we actually look at the book itself, I mean, it details her finding out that she was, from her diagnosis with breast cancer to, you know, encountering some of life's challenges, you know, and the book takes us through that, not giving away too much on the book, but exactly what can readers expect?
Readers can expect an actually very humorous account of a very dark chapter in somebody's life. And I think humor is very important because what humor does is it helps us detach from the seriousness of this earthly existence. We realize that bad things happen, but just because bad things happen, they don't define us. We actually grow and become who we really are through those experiences. So it's a humorous ride. It's a very interesting ride, and I think a lot of South Africans have responded because it's about a woman who comes from a culture, moves to another culture, and then moves to a third culture, and is looking for identity. And I think as South Africans, we're still finding ourselves in our diversity. And this kind of theme is very prevalent in the book.
And of course, you speak about the issue of identity, where when she details, I mean, her chemotherapy, for example, she places so much emphasis on the loss of her hair. And of course, her hair being an identity which she has carried for so long. When we bring it back to women and some of the challenges that women in particular face, do you feel that sometimes we place so much emphasis on either our appearance that when something happens, we take it very, very hard? It's almost like a punch in the gut.
Absolutely, and I can identify that with hair especially. Our ethnicity is the same. We're both Persian of origin. I've made South Africa my home for 11 years. And hair is a very big thing for women, especially Persian women. They carry themselves with this, they identify with it. What these things do is they help us realize that those things are not who we are. Our hair is not who we are. Our hair changes. Our appearances are not who we are. And so by going through those challenges, our true identity comes out, and it has nothing to do with this form-based reality. And so this is something that's a little bit scary, but it's worth exploring because on different levels in our lives, we experience this to greater and lesser degrees.
And of course, we were talking about a little bit off air about how the book is obviously for the girlfriends and you know, to sit by the fireplace and really go through the actual book itself. But in essence, what you found most interesting was that during the course of you, you know, collaborating, and when it finally came out, men were the ones that were really interested in the contents of the book. Why do you think that is?
I didn't expect that. I didn't expect to get my first 10 fan mails letters from men. I think the reason is that whatever the outer journey is, whether it's about breast cancer or some other challenge, the inner journey is something that we resonate with, no matter what culture we're from, no matter what gender we have. the struggles that we go through in life are universal.
Yeah.
And that sense of denial when we wish that it were different, when the ego is holding on to all the things that it wishes it had and how it wants to control the situation, but at some point it just has to let go, that is something we all have experienced and all can connect to, especially men, who I think perhaps have a little bit of a bigger issue with ego.
And as per normal. But very quickly though, Leila, before we let you go, where can one purchase the book and where can one find the book?
We're working on distributing it locally in South Africa. Right now, South Africans are buying it on Amazon.com. There's also a dedicated website, thestreetofgoodfortune.com, where you will find more information. You can write us an email and get the book.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and really all the best with your future endeavors as well.
Much.
We have been speaking to the Street of Good Fortune publisher Leila Hadarian, and of course for more information you simply visit the website www.thestreetofgoodfortune.com to find out exactly where you can purchase the book. We'll see you shortly, straight after the break.